Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host, Daniel Greene, and today I'm going to be taking the fantasy news, putting it in a nice digestible film little pod, and inserting it into your ear for you to digest and think about for the rest of the news week. That's right, today we have a wonderful collection of fantasy news, and let's go ahead and jump into the first story. And that's going to be maybe the longest awaited fantasy release in the history of the genre is finally going to be put out. No, this is not Winds of Winter or Doors of Stone. Instead, it's going to be The Last Dangerous Visions. And how long has this wait been? 5 decades. This is a collection it is said to have been put together by Harlan Ellison in the 1970s, but never released. The estate has been sitting on it and finally is looking to put it out for public reception. Now, Ellison actually put out things like this before, and he had many notable names attached, including Kurt Vonnegut, Philip K. Dick, Ursula K. Le Guin, J.G. Ballard. And by that I mean it's the final entry in a series of anthologies, hence The Last Dangerous Visions. And for this latest entry, this far off, it's actually said to have many of the same caliber names to be included, including the likes of Anne McCaffrey, Octavia Butler, Daniel Keyes, Frank freaking Herbert. Yeah, Dune Man. Why this has been delayed so much? Well, obviously Harlan Ellison died tragically, and apparently while this was being put together, his health was rapidly declining, so it just became too monumental for him to handle. But now it looks that they are trying to get this out there. Television screenwriter J. Michael Straczynski, who was put in charge of Ellison's estate, has said that he is moving to a Patreon account where fans can pay to take part in the book's publication process. This is absolutely extraordinary, in my opinion. Like, names of this caliber coming together for an anthology, wow. I'm sure once this is actually released, fans of these iconic names are going to be thrilled to finally have like one last entry in the case of many of these guys, so hells yeah, I'm going to be picking this one up and reviewing it without question. Now, the names I've listed as being involved are, I want to note and reiterate here, said, rumored, not confirmed. But Michael has come out and said he's also looking to include many of the most well-known and iconic writers working today in these genres, so god damn, I'm going to be looking at this like a hawk. I'm going to be paying attention and trying to keep everyone up to date on what exactly the details here are going to be. Now, Christopher Priest, a novelist who apparently has been loosely connected to this for quite some time, had some more negative, disparaging things to say on the matter. Many of the stories were withdrawn because Ellison acted like a Of the ones that remain, most of them are by writers who are now deceased, so their rights have expired and the estates would have to be traced. A lot of the writers have disowned their stories as juvenilia or outdated, or simply because Ellison was acting like. So take note here, this is someone who apparently is well informed on the issue saying they're not going to have all these people who originally promised because their estates could have reneged on having the material they wrote included. So it's going to whiffle waffle in quality. It could be outstanding or it could be severely lacking. This is not a guarantee either way. It's just an interesting development for something I know people have probably been looking for a long time. It's a neat story. I'm just excited as like a news person. Anyway, let me know what you think of this in the comments down below. To me, this is like shockingly big, and I'm very excited to see what the outcome will be. Obviously, some people around this are a bit more negative on it, but regardless, it's interesting. Now, we have quite a bit more news to get through here today, but before we do, a quick message from today's sponsor. Yeah, I'm ready. Ad spot. Skillshare is the online learning community where you can learn all kinds of important skills.
You doubt me?
Let's look into one I bet you didn't know they had. I bet you want to fight. Guess what? If you get on Skillshare, you can learn combat, self-defense, street fighting right here, right now. I'm not saying you could beat up Captain America, but I am saying it's pretty likely Captain America didn't take this class, so maybe a little more relevant to my audience. They also have all kinds of writing advice stuff, but hey, never underestimate the importance of combat. But Daniel, it sounds like it's gonna be so expensive. Not only do you get a free trial if you sign up for Skillshare using the description down below, it costs less a month with a yearly plan than, guess what, most streaming services you're probably already having too much of. And what's great about Skillshare is there's constantly new classes being added, so you're never gonna run out of different little hobbies or just neat things to try. You don't even need to commit to it, just give it a go and see if you like it. Maybe you'll find your next great passion. Maybe you'll start a new career, but regardless, you can start it for free by clicking the link link in the description down below and giving Skillshare a try today. Now, if you've probably noticed, there's a premiere here set to drop on the channel of an interview with Brandon Sanderson at noon today to discuss Rhythm of War, his recent success on YouTube, a lot of industry stuff. Please be sure to tune in and check that out. It was a lot of fun interviewing him, and I know you guys are going to enjoy a lot of the questions I put forth. Now, today is the release of the third book in the ThePoppyWar series, The Burning God. Now, for those of you who pre-ordered it, apparently if you show proof of purchase, you will get 3 extra chapters from the perspective of Nisa, and that's really freaking cool. I didn't get that in the arc that was sent me. Drat. And I know for this next thing, people kind of want to be kept up to date on everything said in the matter, so I'm going to continue to do that here. And this is regards to the potential KingKiller TV show Lin-Manuel Miranda is attached to. Last I heard, this thing was kind of falling apart, but it seems Lin-Manuel Miranda at least still has it on his creative radar, because he specifically said that it's something he hasn't yet to crack, and it's because he's so busy, but it's yet to crack. Not that he's never going to, so it does still seem to be something he's interested in, means to get to. The guy's busy, so don't expect anything super soon, and I know for sure KingKiller fans are used to waiting. But he did say specifically with his recent involvement in the His Dark Materials adaptation, I've gained new perspective on it, having been able to be a part of other fantasy franchises and seeing how, oh man, we did 8 hours of story and we still didn't get all the first book in there. What hopes does a movie have? The answer is none. The real answer is a director and a script with a vision. That is a different thing, because you can't get all of Pat's incredible book into one movie, and I don't know if you can get into one series, but it is an incredible world and worth exploring, but it hasn't been cracked yet. I just want to do a cut in here and add that I actually really like this approach or mindset, especially when it comes to adapting KingKiller. It seems like he's really taking his time to have a measured approach of what is the best way to turn something so huge into a show that'll work. We've all seen fantasy shows that are rushed, or they obviously just kind of went ahead with adapting it without really having a conceptual, here's the way to capture the soul of what this material is. And to me, this seems to be implying from Lin-Manuel Miranda that that is his intention. And I just appreciate that, even as someone who's not a huge KingKiller fan. And everything I think myself and fans will agree on. It's a great world, it's got a lot of potential, and you need to tackle it right, and it'll be a rather difficult adaptation to do. So what do you think about that? Let me know in the comments down below. Personally, I think we could be seeing progress on this probably around the time Doors of Stone drops. And in a bit of quickie news, we also got The Girl in the Mountains cover release, the second book in this new Book of the Ancestor trilogy. It looks so nice. There's a girl, there's a mountain. Oh no, it's like the title and the cover. It's like a description. And I know loads of you want to be kept up to date with the latest releases from the big boys like Tor and Orbit. Well, Tor is now promoting their upcoming release, She Who Became the Sun. Mulan meets The Song of Achilles in Shelley Parker Chan's She Who Became the Sun, a bold, queer, and lyrical reimagining of the rise of the founding emperor of the Ming Dynasty from an amazing new voice in literary fantasy. That sounds pretty dope. And in not surprising me at all news, The Outsider apparently is having to be shopped around after HBO decided not to continue with season 2. And yeah, I'm sorry, this was very predictable to me. You really bungled the mystery in season 1, so I don't think the fan engagement and follow through for a season 2 of a rather short, easily could have been entirely done in one season, doesn't need a season 2 Stephen King book, is just weird to me. I liked a lot of elements in the show, the tone, the acting, a lot of the writing choices, but what they did with the narrative for me murdered the main thrust of what this book's drive was, and then on top of that, trying to bloat it out just doesn't make sense in my opinion. I'm not surprised to see this, and I don't really have interest in season 2 if I'm being perfectly honest. I know there's like a lot of great Stephen King adaptations going on. There's a lot of interesting things for this, but this one was a disappointment to me because I know it wasn't the most popular Stephen King story, but I did enjoy The Outsider, and seeing it kind of just be bungled in a way is just a bit frustrating to me. Like, that could have been a really nice miniseries you hammer out, you didn't have to change it, but as we constantly see in Hollywood, people just decide they're better than the initial vision or the author who paced it out and the fans enjoyed, and so they changed something massive, and they definitely did with The Outsider, and it undercut everything for me in terms of my personal investment when I was reading the book. But in happier, less Daniel talking down and stern to you news, we got a trailer for a Netflix show called Alien Worlds Season 1, and it's described as applying the laws of life on Earth to the rest of the galaxy. This series blends science fact and fiction to imagine alien life on other planets. And that's cool. I like this, but I don't know what the longevity of something where it's just like, here's what we think a planet could be, is gonna be. So saying season 1 has me going, let's just say 1 season. Daniel feeling sassy. And in a honest sigh of release from me news, it appears they will not be using a digital double of Chadwick Boseman for Black Panther 2. And there's really not much more information from this interview to say. They just say they are all still mourning, which absolutely I understand. I feel like we all collectively felt the loss of Chadwick Boseman. The guy was amazing, especially with his work with kids who were sick like himself. And I'm just relieved to hear they will not be trying to digitally bring him back, because that's just something, the more I've thought about it, it makes me uncomfortable to do with any past actor, in my opinion. I just don't like it. It feels wrong to me. And so, yeah, this one, I'm happy they're handling it this way, and I will be curious to see what they'll do with Black Panther 2. I am happy they're not just canceling it altogether, but this is the right call. I don't know, like, what do you feel about digital actors being brought in? It just feels like, no. I know we can do so much with like deep fakes and all that and getting like, oh, what their performance could have been, but it's what it could have been, not what it would be. And I don't like the idea of forcing someone's image, their likeness, to say and behave in a way on screen. It just feels like something I'm opposed to, if I'm just going to be perfectly frank with you. I just don't like it. Like how deep into the creative process that goes. Once AI gets smart enough, are we going to figure out like, well, we think this director would have done these calls, is what the software we based off of would have said, so here's the new Kubrick movie. No, like that, stop it. Art should be art, and this is coming from someone who's very much so has a tech background, software engineer for years, but I just do not know. But ending fantasy news on some happy switching it up times, it appears the upcoming Halo TV series has hired on the original voice of Cortana to bring that character to life for their live action experience. I do want to clarify though, the original actress they hired to play Cortana and the doctor behind her is still coming back to be the doctor role. So Natasha McElhorn will still be in the show as the physical doctor, while the voice will be handled by the original actress for Cortana, which will have a real nice continuity for everyone there who's coming over from the video games. I think this is the right call, and if they got someone else, it would just feel extremely unnecessary for me. Like, she is still Cortana now, so why wouldn't you let her be Cortana in the show? I don't know, like, I'm weirdly getting more and more amped for the Halo show. I've gotten a bit more into the lore. I still haven't been writing the books yet. Have one of them on my TBR, and after recently replaying the Master Chief Collection, I appreciate what this can be if it's done extremely well. This is something where they have to hit a home run. If this TV show is just okay, I can see the fans completely rejecting it, because Halo is something that is cherished and really looked up to from the people who understand it and are deeply familiar with the lore and how expansive it's become. So like a diet version won't fly in my current read of the fan base. They will not accept a half effort. They want Halo, because it's something that can be done. And right now for television in the golden age we're in, it's the time to strike. This is the time to do it. From what I understand, from the rumors I've heard, it has a good budget, a good cast. Let's see this finally come into existence, because man, people have been waiting for this one for pretty much as long as I can remember. Like, if I can like think back to the earliest, like, oh, wouldn't it be great if this would be adapted conversations I've had, Halo has always been a part of it. But this has been your latest episode of Fantasy News. Let me know what you think of any of the stories in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Be sure to tune into the Brandon Sanderson interview today at noon. And have a good one, y'all. Peace. And of course, I'd like to record a special shout out to my latest high tier Patreon, Ali Abdal. Congratulations on 1 million subs, man. That's absolutely extraordinary.